Hi, my name is Maribel. I am 54 years old, live in Puerto Rico in the western side of the island. I am married and have two wonderful girls. One's 29 and the other one's turning 18 this year. And there's something I want to share with you all. I like to share with you Jesus, and I want to share with you how I became involved in the kingdom and how He has led me to be the better or the best version of me that I could possibly have been for me and for those that I serve nowadays. So I come from a very dysfunctional family. Things were not good back in the 60s, 70s here in the island. My mom and dad had a whole bunch of children. We're 13 siblings altogether, nine girls and four boys. And my dad was a very good provider, but he liked alcohol. And my mom worked and took care of the kids at home. And back in 1975, they finally ended up getting a divorce, and my mom decided to moved to the States. She moved to New Jersey. We went to a small town called Camden, New Jersey. And we were there, my mom and nine of us that were still living with her. It was there that we continued going to Mass in church. And then after a while, one of my brothers went to an evangelical church, and he invited us to visit the church with him. And when I was about 16, I was already in high school. I decided to go and visit the church. It was a very tiny church. I remembered the pastor, remember the people. And my recollection of what happened that one day that I first went in there was amazing. The music got to me when they played the music and did worship. It was just an amazing feeling, and there was something very special there in the church. So I kept visiting, and as I kept visiting, the more I got involved, and the more I was able to see Jesus for what the Bible teaches him he is, and see God for what we should see him. And having said that, I began to understand that I needed uh, that what they had in that church and what they were preaching, I needed it in my life. So I embraced it, and I became involved to the point where I became a church regular member. And I even had a Girl Scout troop within the church. Girls, I had the daisies. So that is where I met Jesus and accepted him as my savior. I had not experienced that those emotions, spiritual emotions that fill you up and you feel like you have no needs at all. Time went by. I was at the church for a few years, graduated from high school in 1984, and decided to relocate to Puerto Rico. So I was at the church for 2.5 years, somewhere around there. Decided to relocate to Puerto Rico on my own. My family stayed behind. And I had one of my oldest sisters lived here in Puerto Rico, and she allowed me to stay at her house for 2 weeks. I had saved some money while I was a co-op student, and with the 4,000 and some dollars that I saved, I came to Puerto Rico, rented me an apartment, and started seeking out for a church that I could go and join here in the island. It was very difficult. I had no car, and the distances between the city and the rural areas, they're pretty far away. So my sister lived in the mountains, and there were not many churches around here, so it was difficult at the beginning. I was unable to move to another town where I got me a job, and I remember something peculiar about that job was that, 3.35 an hour was what we made, and that was the federal minimum wage back in 1984. And everyone in the States had told me how hard it was going to be for me to live in Puerto Rico and make ends meet. And believe it or not, I was able to live and survive on 3.35 an hour for a while. but still couldn't find a church that I could congregate. And as a Christian, I strongly believe that congregating with people that love the Lord, that serve the Lord, and that look forward to serving others through what they get from the kingdom was very important. So after a while, I was able to go to a church, but to my surprise, it was way different than what I had seen in the States. So I was not, they were spiritual people, great people, but I did not fit in there. And little by little, I stranded away from the kingdom, from Jesus, from what he represented in my life. And at that point in time, when I stranded away, that's when I really learned to see the bad side of the world, because without Jesus, my life, aside from being empty, uh, hard times came. And while abundance in spirituality came when I was seeking Him, then desolation and loneliness came into my life. So I was there for a while, since probably 1985 till about 16 years ago. I was stranded. I went through many heartaches and pain. I got married, had my first baby, married my husband. His name is William, married him then, divorced him in 1997. And the Lord just was seeking me out. And so when I divorced my husband, I decided that I knew better. I decided that I needed to continue to seek the Lord in my life for my well being and for that of my oldest daughter, whose name is Gabriela. So I did. I started seeking Him. I started congregating again. And all of those hard times that I had previously seemed to vanish and disappear pretty quickly when Jesus was the center of my life again. We tend to go out there and judge and be judgmental about the kingdom, and be judgmental about stuff that's not from the kingdom. And the one thing that I learned this time around is that my mission was to become a better person for me, Gabriela, and everyone around me. So I started working really hard towards making my character in spirit stronger than anything else, and having Jesus as the center of my life became the motor that would push me to bigger and greater places. So the kingdom for me is what I would call the transmission and the motor of a normal car. Well, that is what it is for me as a human being. Um, Willie and I loved each other, but we did not share the same interests. And so when you don't have God as the center of your life, these things could break marriages, they could break families, because everybody's seeking to satisfy their own personal emotional needs. And that's exactly what had happened to me. Little did I know that God had an amazing plan. And Willie, after a while, started to come more to the house. We were together but apart, which is a very bad thing. I never suggested to anyone, but that's how we led our lives. We were together but apart because we did not share the same interests. So there was a point in time where he wanted what I had, and he would come to the house and tell me how much he envied what I had with Gabriela. And one day he asked me to go to the movies with him to take Gabriela. And I told him, sure, but I have a church meeting and we need to be back on time. And so when we came back from the movies, he decided to join me. He's raised in a Christian home, so he knew what he was going to be forward to. He knew that. So he joined me that one day, and little by little, he just kept joining me more in the congregation. And as time went by, we married each other again, and we have another daughter whose name is Adriana. So we have this internal joke that we have two daughters from different marriages, although it's from the same parents. And it is because I had Gabriela when I married him the first time, and I had Adriana when I married him the second time. This time around, we have all been going to church, and our experiences, spiritual experiences in the Lord, have been amazing, because not only were we able to get a reestablished family, but we were able to live for the kingdom completely and share with others what the kingdom has given us. And you'd notice I say kingdom all the time, because I have a king, and the king is Jesus Christ. So to me, having that king is first and foremost the most important thing in my life. I talk to many young girls nowadays, and I help them and I mentor them. And I tell them that the first thing that you need to have in life is love and honor God, and then love and honor yourself, for you to be able to love and honor everybody else. And the same thing goes for service. I serve the kingdom, and then I go and serve my family, my home, my church, and then I serve everybody else with lots of dignity and respect. So meeting Jesus from where I was initially, to getting stranded, to re-engaging in the kingdom, has been the most amazing thing that I could say that I've experienced in my lifetime. Today, Willie and I, we can tell you that we became youth pastors for a while, that we support our church and any church that comes our way 100%. We have a nonprofit organization that helps the elderly community. We work for them. We work for our community. We run a bakery. We were able to purchase, build our home, and then purchase 2 more properties that we use for missions. And we are so proud that we can preach the gospel, expand the gospel, and share it, just by telling everyone that listens to our story that God has chosen us all, everyone, to be able to do what Willie and I do today with Adriana and Gabriela, for the kingdom and for the community that we live in. I cannot say strong enough how sad it is to see that the kingdom and the gospel is being thrown out there as just a mere regular thing, that it is there. I want to share with everyone that I feel the kingdom and the gospel is not something that's just out there because it's another thing. It is out there because it's the one thing that could provide stability emotionally, spiritually, in this earth for anyone who chooses to embrace it. Had it not been for my brother inviting us to visit that one congregation that one day, and me learning that Jesus was the most important thing in my life when I was 16, I would probably not be here today recounting how successful my life is in the kingdom, and all the blessings that we get day in, day out with what we do. The blessings are for us and for the ones that we go out there and serve, and we share all we have, our time, talent, and treasure, for the kingdom, because it was given to us to be able to do what we call the Great Commission, which is to expand the gospel. So I will defend the gospel in every way possible that I can. I will share it, and with living by example and living with the stories that we can recount, I can assure everyone that if you embrace Jesus and make him the center of your life, you will have a very happy life here in this world. And just wanted to share a little bit of who I am, so that you see what the Lord has done in someone who really at one point in time got really stranded away and lived in very hard times. I would encourage everyone to seek Jesus, to look Jesus, and to expand the gospel and the kingdom here while we have the time to do it now.